Some things will be inherited from parents and friends, of your values, of your experiences. And so I'm so passionate about talking about this because it literally shows up in every single area of your life. And whilst it is talked about a lot, it's not necessarily understood at a level what it is and, of course, how you can change it to work for you.
Hi and welcome to Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try. This podcast is specifically for business owners or wannabe business owners. Say you've got a side hustle or you've got a passion for something and you think it'd be absolutely amazing, or you see people that do amazing things with their passions and what they enjoy doing. Well, you can do that. So please subscribe and we hope you enjoy listening to this episode. Hi and welcome to Breakout Business Rainbows and Unicorns, where there's no such thing as failure if you don't try. It's kind of a special episode of the podcast because, as you might know, we do networking meetings every third Thursday of the month in Sudbury. We also have one in Long Melford as well, so look for our socials to find out when they are if you are local and you can come and visit. One of the special things about our networking meetings is we have guest speakers, so they're always free to attend. Anyone can attend, and it is more to catch up with like-minded businesses who are looking to either solve a problem or just generally catch up. There's no pressure on anyone to make sales or recommend everyone. It is genuinely just a good group of people who are local to the area. So this month we were very, very fortunate to have the lovely Marie Daines to come and guest speak for us. Marie is a mindset coach, so she talked things all mindset. So it was a really, really good talk. I would highly recommend just having a listen and having a share, particularly to share with someone who you know has a bit of imposter syndrome or just needs that push in the right direction to really understand and believe in themselves and their business and just go that and take that next step and go a bit further. So have a listen to Marie. All her details and information will be in the show notes. So if it's something you love, then definitely get in touch with her. And thanks to Liam for recording it as always. So if you couldn't attend the events, at least you don't get to miss out on the speakers. So have a listen, and as always, let us know what you think. Enjoy the episode.
Now, before I was a mindset coach, I was actually a health coach and a personal trainer alongside my other job, which was an estate agent. And that's also another mindset story. But it's from that understanding of the body, which I was very passionate about as well, health and well-being, and then coming into the mind and then realizing it's so interconnected. You can't actually talk about one without talking about the other. So that's another reason that I'm super passionate about it, because a lot of people understand that stress can cause illness and disease, but let's talk about the power of the well-being, of looking after yourself, of happiness, and how that shows up in your health. So, talked about what mindset is, but when it comes to business, mindset around money, mindset around selling, around pricing, around visibility, around meetings like this is a whole different ballgame, right? And again, not one that's really talked about. When you started up business, you weren't thinking, oh, well, I don't have a very good money mindset, this could be a problem. And I predominantly work with women in business, and that's not to generalize, but there are some commonalities when it comes to the ladies. They don't want to annoy people, they don't want to seem greedy or pushy, and so we're going to talk about each of those different aspects a little bit, and I'd love to, again, hear your thoughts on it thereafter. But money. So I'd love for you to take some time now and also thereafter to think about how you think about money, where your beliefs around money might have come from. Perhaps you had parents that were working all the hours that God sends in order to survive. So you think perhaps that money is hard to make, hard to come by, it means sacrifice. And of course, as ladies, like, you might be pulled, like, you want to bring in the money and contribute, but you also might want to be present at home, and that's kind of conflicting beliefs. So that can actually cause some problems. You might also think about, maybe there was an experience where you weren't very good with money. Maybe there was a time where you were a little bit irresponsible and it might have caused a bit of a problem. And so therefore you think, don't give me money. Subconsciously this is, of course. I'm not safe with money. I'm going to do stupid things. It's just going to disappear. So it's a fascinating thing to dig into, a really juicy subject. All of these we could actually just dive into in and of themselves, but of course we haven't got a bit of time. Visibility. So again, touching on being annoying. Like, oh, I can't post that again. They just think I'm only talking about my business. Rather than thinking, my people need to see me. They need to find me. I need to show up for them. Selling. So how many have had an icky experience around selling?
So many.
Yeah, exactly. So of course that's going to impact how we view selling. If we actually ask for the sale, a lot of people are like, oh, this is what I'm doing, hi, over here. But actually fail to go, do you want to come and buy from me? You need this. Like, come, I've got exactly what you're looking for. It's a really, again, an interesting one. Pricing. Most people will say, go and look at what your competitors are charging, rather than going, what's the value of this to my ideal client? Because I can guarantee you, whatever you're charging, you're going to find someone that says you're charging too much, someone's charging too little. And really, at the end of the day, what you need to know is what's right for you. Because you need that exchange. You need to have that giving and receiving. You can't just give. And a lot of ladies, again, don't want to generalize, but they do. They're givers, people pleasers, and they want to fix everything, make everything right, make it happy. Doesn't work. That's where you come to burnout, disease, illness, and then no one's making any money. No one is getting the goods there. And of course, these meetings, how you talk about yourself, how you feel about yourself, your business, your connections, it's invaluable. Which brings me to one of my favourite parts of my work, is because it's actually all comes down to us. If we're not prioritising our time, our value, other people aren't going to do it. It's only when you start to get clear on your boundaries, get clear on your desires, what you want to work on, that you will feel confident in saying no. One of my first clients, she only worked part-time around the kids, and so she had about a day and a half a week to work with. And every week, guaranteed, her sister would call up needing childcare. And it was like, hang on a second, what is going on? And because she hadn't got clear on what she wanted to do with that time, she felt bad saying no. So it's really important for you to know what you want. And of course, that's a whole other thing, like what you think you want. Is it actually what you want, or is it what you think you should want? Society's told you should want. It's always been a more throughout our lives. It's understandable, and there's nothing wrong with wanting more and nice things. Don't get me wrong. But it's also an interesting question to ask yourself. Is this actually what I want? Or is this like my dad's voice from beyond the veil telling me what I should be doing, how I should be acting, whether I should stay safe and secure? I definitely had that a few times from my parents. They're this side. But it is very interesting question to ask yourself, especially when maybe you've made an investment, heavy investment in something, some sort of training. You're like, no, I've got to see this through, when part of you is like, I don't know, this is not what I actually thought it was. Actually, I quite fancied going over there. It's quite a different direction, but, you know, something's pulling me. So, yeah, that is very, very, very powerful to think of. But essentially, a lot of the time, it comes down to how we think about ourselves, whether we think we're worthy enough in a society, in a world that tells you all the time, in every opportunity, you haven't got enough, You're not doing enough. You're not enough. It's hard to realise you are absolutely enough just as you are. You don't need a certain figure, a certain amount of clients to justify your existence and your worthiness. You don't, but we are very much get caught up in that. So it's a lot of looking inward to realise how that's showing up in your world, because we are processing millions of things all the time, and our mind's actually trained. Unconsciously, we've trained our mind to look for these things that we believe it believes are important to us. Because if you're looking for problems, if you notice a lot of problems, your mind's going to say, Marie thinks that's important. Let's find more problems. It's not fun. But you can, of course, make those little shifts to change how you're feeling. And how you're feeling is your whole experience, right? Essentially, anything that you want is only for the feeling it's going to get you. You want that nice house because you're going to feel significant, like you've made it. Get the idea? Yeah? So what if you could create a good feeling right now on that journey? The cliche, it's in the joy is in the journey, not the destination. Because how often have you got to that goal? You're like, okay, what next? It really is in the journey. So the other thing I wanted to touch on today, because I could talk all night, as you can probably gather, was the lovely conversation that I had with Nisha and Sam, the first meeting here, the first networking meeting. And it was talking about the power of one. And I just really wanted to remind you that those one conversation, one meeting, one message can make all the difference. And we were talking about it because Sam was a coach, and I shared how some teachers had impacted, or one teacher had impacted my mum, and she'd kept that story throughout her life. That was a negative story, but of course there are positives, and hopefully you can all remember a teacher that had a positive impact on your life and how that changed the game. So I want you to think that you could be that one for someone else. Or maybe it is just creating a new habit. Okay, it's 1 minute earlier you're going to set the alarm. Maybe it's one page of a book you're going to write. And of course that adds up. You do one a day for the year, you have a book. That compound effect, I came across that about 12 years ago, the power of the compound effect. So, we often think about things in such a big gap where we want to be to where we are now. But actually, it is eating that elephant one bite at a time, taking that one step at a time. Just, can you see the step in front of you? And move forward, because you will move to where you want to go. If you're listening to that intuition, less mind, which I know is ironic, mindset coach, but listening to that pull, it will take you closer to where you want to be. And also, the reminder, like, when has anything actually gone how you planned it to go? Your successes, did it go plan to plan, or was it like, aha, that's how that happened? Oh, that person, now it's going on. We get so caught up in the hows and the whys and forget to trust sometimes in ourselves and those meetings to make it all happen. So in conclusion, I hope you have a better understanding of mindset, the power of mindset, what it is. We haven't really talked about how you can change it, but of course, that's another very juicy subject I love. You can come and chat to me a bit more if you want to learn more about that. And just to take away that how you can make big changes with those little shifts. It's really, life is those little moments added up. So try not to overwhelm yourself. Think about those little movements, little shifts to make the big ones. And that's it.
Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, yeah.
Anyone? I have one.
I'll go for it.
I think it would be really useful for you to tell the people that are here about how you fully got into your mindset journey and being a life coach. If any of you follow Marie on social media, everything she posts is so positive, and just that one post a day, you read it and you go, yes, there's a reminder that I can do it. It took a while it takes a while for anyone to get to that stage, so it's quite interesting for these people who don't maybe know you as well to know how you went from just living your everyday life. I'm getting up and going to work, to I'm going to empower other people to have such a positive mindset.
Ooh, how can I focus in on that without going on too long?
Take as long as you want.
Well, let's say that the job, those jobs that you don't really like very much, you might have a good day, you might have a bad day. There was a few more bad days at one point that shifted me to go to the personal training. Yes, there was weight to be lost. Thought about health in the wrong sort of mindset, if you like, but that was beautiful. I found something that I enjoyed doing. All of a sudden I realized I wasn't that bad at learning. I just wasn't interested in those other subjects like I was with health and fitness. So I actually got really high marks on that, which really took me by surprise, but I loved it. And but however, I came across a whole different mindset problem. I was like, okay, I'm the main breadwinner, I've got the secure salary. How do you go from full-time job, demanding job, to newly self-employed to fill up the books? Like there was a bit of a disconnect there. So that was quite interesting. And then I also had the mindset issues with the clients as well, which was always interesting, because they had the excuses, the children are ill, or this has happened, and life, and it was always them putting their needs behind everyone else's. And I was like, well, how on earth am I going to build a business if you're so flaky and you can't commit? So yeah, that was the whole process. And then got pulled back into the job, bit more money, bit more responsibility. Okay, maybe I can make this work, Then my favourite boss left, and I got the opportunity to take on his job. I say opportunity, it was absolutely a stitch up. So he had the big job, the big title, the money. I got all the responsibility without that. And what's worse is they didn't replace me either. So I was now doing both jobs. I wasn't going to put that on the team. And so anyway, and it was really interesting because I knew I didn't want the promotion from the get-go, but there was this proving energy around it, proving both to myself and to others. I also had the sense that people would think I was stupid if I didn't take the promotion. I'm sure they would have. Absolutely. Doesn't mean it was the right thing to do. Thankfully, the manager was very clear on his intentions for the business, and they were nowhere near what mine was. So it was a whole journey there. I went, okay, bye-bye, don't care what I'm doing. See you later. And I'd done that health coaching. So there's a lot of it, I was already on that path and understanding the power of the body. And then I did train to become a life coach. And then I fell pregnant. So that was great timing. And then I met Debbie.
I was just going to mention about this because you mentioning about the power of one. And that's a great example of it, because we met at a networking event and we met going in the door. In fact, parking our cars, we were like,
we were both late, weren't we?
We were both late.
Very late, yeah.
And we both needed a pee. She was pregnant, I wasn't, but I still needed a pee. And we went into the ladies and we just having a bit of a natter, and I told her what I did, not knowing she was pregnant, because I'm a pregnancy and birth coach. And I teach hypnobirthing and antenatal education. And I was
like, fancy
that? Wow. So, and that started a lovely relationship.
Yeah.
No, and so actually, so Marie's used my services, let's call it, and I have also been coached by Marie as well. So if anybody wants a review or testimonial or anything about Marie,
absolutely,
and Marie kind of got me through lots of lockdown and lots of issues.
But it's been I mean, for everyone's
Brilliant.
had amazingly interesting experiences over the last few years, haven't we? But and it was just a snowball really effect of understanding the mind, understanding the science behind it, which a lot of it's actually not that new, but I'll call it modern science there, and it's sort of just been expanded on, the neurological side of things. But most people now understand the gut as the second brain, and So that interconnectedness of it all and understanding the importance of feeling good, it's like, well, we need to be talking about this more. We need to be focusing on this more. And when you, fun fact, when you're over the age of 35, we're just going to pretend Nisha's not over there, that over 95% of what you think, feel and do every single day is of the same energy. So, doesn't mean it's going to be exactly the same, but based on that, 95% of what you think, feel and do today was the same as yesterday. And if you're not consciously changing it, 95% of what you think, feel and do today is going to be the same in your future.
Why is it over 35?
Yeah.
Because you've had that many years to really establish that time. So those repeated behaviours, thoughts and feelings. So but
I've
if
already done Marie's course.
you're set, don't you worry. But which is great if you've had good habits. And it's not just actions, it is in those feeling habits. It's that self-talk. It's so well ingrained that when you start to change it, your body's like, what are you doing? I remember when I was smoking one of those e-cigarettes for some time, more so than I was cigarettes, as often happens. Anyway, when I first came up and hadn't really thought about it, I just didn't have it on me. And I got down the kitchen, I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, and it wasn't like, there was no awareness of that. It was just my body was like, there's something missing, there's something wrong, what are you doing? And that's what it'll do. So often if you take yourself out of a situation, say that you get road rage in traffic, no, your husband, husband, you were just telling me, and then you're at home the next day. At that time of day, you might find that you're actually looking for things to get annoyed about because it's that cycle. It's interesting, isn't it? So it's really powerful to become more conscious of that self-talk. And you might think, oh yeah, no, I'll be better. But then you just days away. Like, how many of you literally get into a hypnotic state in the car and then you're like, oh, don't remember that journey? We go into those states more often than we'd care to think, which is also it's more common at either end of the day when you're getting closer to sleep, which is, the media knows that, by the way. So if you've got things on in the background on the way to work at the end of the day, bear in mind that's going to that subconscious, so make sure it's good. And of course, what do most people do at the end of the day? They sit there going over everything that went wrong. They could have done more, and then they take that to sleep for 8 hours. And your body, which innately knows how to rebalance, is focused on the wrong stuff. The energy is going somewhere it's not supposed to, which is when we were doing the hypnobirthing course and we talk about that tense stress, the fear, the energy is going to all those muscles there rather than going to where it's needed. So yeah, when you were talking about how we've been influenced, our thoughts of birth and pregnancy through the media, and I suddenly thought, no, I've never, ever, ever heard of a positive experience in that realm. It's all screaming, horrendous, and my husband absolutely had that belief. He said, Marie, you're having a baby, it's just awful. It's just suck it up, that's part of it. You wanted children. And I was like, no. And so yeah, a whole new world opened up there.
Changing our mindset.
Absolutely. And of course you just start to see more and more evidence, and once you're tuned in, like, okay, I see it there. And it's also why two people can have the same thing happen to them but have a very different experience of it. It's because of their different mindsets.
Same with the social media algorithm. You start searching for people screaming, you'll find it.
Exactly. And so if you have a strong belief, you will find evidence to back it up.
So my husband said to me, he goes, cottage cheese is the latest thing. Everyone's eating cottage cheese. Can you order cottage cheese next time you do an order? I'm like, whatever. said, "Why are you on about cottage cheese to me?" I said, "Do you not see it all on Instagram?" Right, what have you been searching? Just recipes and different, I think it's keto or whatever. Don't get me on the whatever diet this week. But he's like, whatever he was, he's gone down. And he goes, yeah, and just everything comes up. And it's like the latest thing. And I'm like, let me explain the algorithm.
Yeah. But it's so
you
true.
Just search for like steak or vegetables.
100%.
Yeah.
But your supercomputer is so much more powerful than that. And it's, of course, when you decide what car you're going to buy, all of a sudden you see them everywhere. It's so bear in mind, like, keep in mind what you're programming in, or what might have been programmed in from a long time ago.
It's crazy you say that, because when you say about like before you go to bed, so on the nights when I would scroll before I go to bed, just mindlessly scroll, I sleepwalk and talk, and it will be so bad on the nights that I brought my phone up to bed, where I'll get up and I'll walk around the house, I'll scream sometimes.
What are you searching?
Dribble. Like,
Yeah.
nothing, it's just
Like the
pure.
horror movie.
Yeah, if it was that, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense. But when I do, really, really bad sleepwalk, because I'm obviously not like relaxing before I go to sleep. But then when I leave the phone downstairs, go upstairs, either read a book or just relax, it's a different story.
Wow, that is
I'm a
powerful.
night terror person as well.
Really?
Yeah, not walking, just but screaming.
Oh my God.
And mine isn't phone related, mine is very much stress related. If I'm stressed, that's when I do my screams. Yeah, absolutely.
It's great that you've both noticed though that what it is that makes it worse.
Wow, the subconscious is super powerful. Yeah. Fascinating subject.
Mm.
And they're only, they're really only scratching the surface on a lot of it, but what's out there now is it needs to be talked about more, for sure.
And is your business primarily working with business owners, or do you do kind of just stuff for people's personal life as well? Or is it
So
mainly
it's women in
focused?
business, but it doesn't have to be business related, because it is so much of us in our babies, our businesses, business babies, should I say. So yeah, it absolutely impacts everything. So yeah, we talk about all of it. We don't miss anything out. I mean, don't have to tell me anything either. But I have a client that literally, she's like, oh my God, Marie, there's so much trauma. So you don't have to tell me, because a lot of therapists, counsellors will go back and spend a lot of time going through it. I don't believe that you necessarily need to do that. You can acknowledge it and, work through it yourself. But for me, it's much more about looking forwards. What do we want to create? Because if you're thinking about that, that's what you're going to start building in that subconscious. So yeah, we get down and dirty with it. Yeah, absolutely. We don't miss anything.
And is it like a 6-session kind of thing that you do, or is it more just?
So I've got one-to-one, I've got group coaching, I've got self-led courses, I've got a free Facebook group. It's all going on. Yeah, yeah. But there's the high level where you have the weekly meetings. You can do voice notes onto that as well. So yeah, we've got all of the bases covered. I think we've got something called Coach in Your Pocket, so people can literally just in the moment be like, Marie, this has happened. This person is horrendous. Help me. And yeah.
When I opened Melford, let's pretend Phil wasn't really around, I made a list of who I wanted to work with locally, and I've now worked with all of those businesses within the first 18 months.
That's
Some
beautiful.
or another.
Yeah.
And now I've got to find more.
We're all
That's
here.
beautiful.
Just like, right.
No, I love that. Yeah.
Just because I thought if I write it down, because I've always been about vision boards and stuff, so if I write it down, then it was. And the same, I had, from what you were saying earlier about the pregnancy thing, my friend's just had a baby, and she was a hairdresser, so towards the end I was like, oh, how's it going? You all right? And she's like, I hate my job. And I was like, oh, my feet hurt. And she went, no, I'm sick of people just coming up and touching me.
Yeah. Telling you, oh my God, that's got to come out, you poor thing.
Yeah, and telling me their horror stories.
Yeah.
So I went, let me tell you
Yeah.
mine.
Yeah.
Mine was amazing. And she
Well
said,
done, you.
And she said, oh, God, so nice to hear. I said, but it's just, and the things that had happened, and she knew my backstory anyway, it was almost setting me up to be horrendous. But I was just like, it's got to happen, isn't it? And just went with it. And she was just like, oh my word. So then she'd, you know, when you can see someone's stories and what they're going through and what they're thinking, so then I'd just reply to every single story she was saying, and just like, no, this, no, that, just
brilliant.
to like, try and,
Yeah.
yeah, she's just said she's just literally filled with fear.
Yeah, and of course, the more you see, the more you'll see. Well, this was it. I had about 4 or 5 ladies in my close circle that had babies, and they were all horrendous 4-5 day labours that had been induced. I was like, no, that's not right. Like,
That's not right.
we can literally grow this baby, and you're telling me we can't birth it? Nah. So yeah, that wasn't going to be my story. But there's a lot of people that do give their power away. A lot of people like it's someone else's fault, or justifying where they're at, which is what I'm here to change. Amazing.
Thank you very much.
For those interested, these bits and bobs. What I have started to do now is use things to get the senses excited, because we're emotional beings, so we're much more likely to do something we want to do over something we need to do. But using things like smells and getting the good feelings can really help. So, you know, whether it's lighting a candle and doing journaling, whether it's that self-care. So that's what that's all about, is wax melts, all sorts of things. But also the books. Personal development is an absolute game changer for anyone that's interested. There's some amazing books there too.
Have you read and you use them all? So they're all
Oh my God.
ones you highly recommend.
Absolutely.
I love a book.
I've listened to that one at least.
Well,
I've listened to the 5-second rule.
Mel Robbins is epic. So for the logical,
Godfather of self-help books, that one. I reckon
it's getting out
so
of.
many other self-help books have come from it as well, I reckon. From
For
reading
sure.
a lot of self-help books, I read that recently and went, oh wow.
She's a brilliant one to follow.
About that and that, and
Yeah, brilliant one to follow. But essentially, it's like you think of a good idea, and then you've got 5 seconds before you talk yourself out of it. Basically, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. She's brilliant. But follow her on Instagram as well. She's brilliant. Dr. Joe, leading edge gentleman, has all the science, does all the science around neurology. He uses meditation as his main format to get into that unconscious, subconscious, and change. But he self-healed from a bad bike accident that he was told he'd never heal from, and he's helped millions of other people heal themselves as well.
See how a podcast called You Are the Placebo? I just saw.
That wouldn't surprise me. He's a.
Last night when I was scrolling through.
Could well be.
Podcasts,
Oh, there you go. It's a sign.
Yeah.
There you go. And becoming supernatural. So it's really that unseen, the energy world of things, which I'm super passionate about. And then these, that compound effect I was talking about, the little actions every day that add up, whether it's a cupcake or getting up earlier. It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, definitely my favourite. There's so many. If you want more, just ask. Oh dear. Cool.
Thanks very much, Marie.
My pleasure.
If anybody has any other questions that they don't want to address to the group, just find Marie and give her a talk, and also follow her on Instagram, because it's a nice little bit of positivity every day that everybody needs to see. I definitely think.
Thanks for listening to this episode. We really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please share with a friend who you think needs a bit of help with starting a business, or even their small business which they've already got going. Please like and subscribe to our podcast, which always helps a small business or small podcast like us. And check the show notes. We all have everything in there relating to the episode which you might need, might want to read, and links to anyone we've interviewed and certain subjects we've spoken about. And thanks for listening.